There are qualified women across Maine who belong in fields dominated by men, and I want to knock down the barriers that are keeping them from pursuing these good-paying jobs in construction with good Maine employers.
There's already some work being done across the state to invite women to work in construction. Associated General Contractors of Maine helps run career day events for teens and a registered pre-apprenticeship through Maine Construction Academy.
This year, as we reviewed the applications, we had almost 30% of our participants were female this year, which is a significant improvement over what we've seen for construction industry participation in the past.
Laura LeBove owns her own construction company called Sopo Cottage. She helps organize volunteer opportunities called Women Build Day through Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
It gives women an opportunity to gain hands-on experience in construction.
We have women of all different experience levels, but many are novices. They've never held a drill, they've never held a saw, and we teach them how to do that as part of the build day, and they get to experience it firsthand.
They don't know
come
how to
in
do
the
anything.
morning
I just
being
feel like
very
that
hesitant.
feeds stereotypes in a way. Yeah, because you solve societal problems with more government. That's the way you do it. Welcome back to the program. Dana Lash here with you, top of the second hour. You can listen coast to coast. You can stream the radio program as well. We're also on X. You can find us on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. So this was in Maine. They signed this executive order. They're trying to make the construction industry, excuse me, what they said is more inclusive. It's exclusive? Like what do you mean? Like they're barring women from working? So they have this direct order, or this order is going to direct state agencies to collaborate with businesses and partners to identify opportunities and incentives. And they said that they are also, with this, giving out grants. So this is government money, government grants to companies that incentivize hiring female construction workers. And she thinks, the construction industry is dominated by men because of sexisms. Now, taxpayer dollars to incentivize this. And then that's going to just be the panacea. Government money, government solutions for, first off, so much of this comes down to nature and what women want to do and what they don't want to do, right? There's a reason why, for instance, you have more female manicurists than male manicurists. I mean, there's like different, there's like a reason why. It comes down to nature and by the way, who cares? Oh my gosh, here's a crazy thought. I know this is nuts, no pun intended, but just bear with me. Instead of incentivizing hiring female construction workers, maybe incentivize hiring good construction workers. What? I know, it's kind of crazy, but maybe the emphasis could be on merit and not what your sex organ is. Right? Does that make sense? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's a little crazy. I get it.
You sound like a bigot.
Is it bigoted to say we should hire merit over focusing on whether or not the applicant has a vagina? Or is it bigoted to say we should focus on whether or not the applicant has a vagina and not their merit? Because then it's, which is actually bigoted?
That last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like if you were going to be a bigot, that sounds like that's the way you would go with that. I don't think that there's sexist barriers. Can I just be real? I got family at work in construction. It's hard work. And there's just certain things that are more appealing to dudes. And you know what? That's okay. That's not why. I don't know why the measure of strength in a woman is always defined by male parameters. And it's not men who establish this. It's women who establish it. Women insist on defining equality by whether or not a woman can operate the same according to a measure of a man, instead of recognizing and celebrating the unique strengths of women, because there are a lot of things that women can do that men simply cannot do. And I'm not just speaking of biological functions. So why isn't it, if it's about equality and if it's about empowering women, then why isn't the measure of a woman ever actually applied and used as often as the measure of a man is to determine whether or not a woman is truly equal? That's such nonsense. It's a betrayal of the very movement that they're pushing. They say that it's about empowering women and making things equal for women, but you're not going to make anything equal for a woman by always defining them by a man's characteristics, right? Like, you're not going to sit here and measure not whether a fish and a dog are the same by measuring whether or not the fish can actually operate by the same parameters as a dog can, or, you know, so on. It's just so goofy, right? This is so dumb. Like, why is, and it actually betrays, I think, the motive of what this whole movement is. This isn't about equality. It's not about any of those things. Just make it, how about you have it based on merit? I would hate, and I say this as a woman in an industry that is absolutely dominated by men. Dominated. Talk radio is dominated by men. And a lot of people say it's an old boys club. And there's things that women won't get invited to because it's dudes. I don't ever look at it. I don't look at everything through the lens of sexism. I look at it through merit. And I'm probably snottier and more braggadocious than a lot of the dudes in the industry. Oh, I freely admit this. In fact, one of them got really mad at me because I joked that my cigar was bigger. And they got mad at me, and they're like a talk radio host, and they will not talk to me anymore after years of being friends. I was like, dude, I did not realize you were so sensitive. I was just joking with you. Well, I asked him why he was being such a female copulatory organ about it. And this is me, though. This is just how I am. But I'm joking about it. And it's very tough. One of the things that I've always maintained is that I don't ever want any achievement, any recognition, or any accolade because I'm a chick. That, to me, is the most insulting thing you can do to me professionally. Because I got to where I got in my career not because I'm a woman. Now, does being a woman help? It sure as hell does. It's an interesting give and take. It benefits you in some ways to be unique, and it kneecaps you in other ways to be unique. Like, for instance, this microphone that I'm talking on right now. This is a specially constructed microphone. No one else in the business has a mic like this. Kane's dad actually plated it. It's my platinum mic. It's not my golden mic. It's my platinum mic. But we had to have it wired differently because when you are in talk radio, one of the ways that they gauge your audience and your reach terrestrially is they basically now have devices that can, pick up your voice. But a woman's voice is pitched naturally higher than that of a man's voice. And a lot of these readers do not pick up female voices. So it actually will penalize your voice. And so my husband actually rewired this whole mic so it forces my voice to be registered by these readers. It doesn't lower my voice. I mean, this is the timbre of my voice, but it actually makes it to where, in layman's terms, it can be picked up. So I'm in an industry that's already dominated by men. I mean, this industry that I am in is more dominated by men than the construction industry is dominated by men. If you look at, go down to the actual numbers. There aren't a lot of ladies in talk radio. And most of us, we all know each other. And I would never want to have any kind of anything given to me because I'm a woman. I want to earn it. I want to know that I am the best because I am the best. I want to be number one in my day part because I get the most ears and eyes. I want to know that I've earned everything and didn't have it given to me, because that's a false achievement. And that doesn't go towards building you up. It doesn't give you an accurate measure of how well you're doing professionally or anything else. It's a lie. And then you're lying to yourself. And then you're betraying yourself, which is that not the complete antithesis of what all these feminists claim that they want? So why would you do that? I can't stand it. I've had people refer to me and say, oh, she's the number one female talk radio. I just want to be number one. So we're number one in our day part. In this time slot, which we've occupied, for years now. And so when I see stuff like this, I feel like I'm in a pretty credible position to say it's nonsense. To say that you don't need to have these like bumpers in the bowling alley. You don't need to have this. Just be good at what you're doing. We don't live in a society anymore. And again, I can say this and I will fight anybody because I've lived it. Being in a male-dominated industry, we do not live in an environment to where you have to have these crutches anymore, ladies, in order to succeed in your industry. If you are good and you are tenacious, you'll last. I've been in boardrooms with dudes who were twice my age that have, I don't get offended if someone's like, "Oh, honey," or whatever, because I can punch back as good as I can get. And I actually enjoy it. So I don't ever take no offense to it. And I don't look to constantly be offended. But a lot of chicks today do. And they look at that as though it is, they look at that as a way to leapfrog themselves forward instead of just relying on their merit. If you can make someone feel as though that they have wronged you, then they will give way to you. That's not a true victory. Maybe it's a psyop, but it's not a true achievement. Because I hate all this stuff. Chicks are so manipulative. Oh my gosh, they are. We are. But so I can say with a lot of credibility that you don't need all this stuff in an industry. We don't live in that kind of era anymore where you have to have this stuff. In fact, I feel like it's now the opposite. You have the matriarchy that runs everything. And if you look at the statistics of dudes going for higher paying jobs, going for higher college degrees, it's actually women that are outpacing men in major urban cities. And it's been this way for 8.5 years now. So there it is. Maybe men are getting back by going in our bathrooms. I don't know. I mean, I didn't do it, but I can see I didn't create the problem, but maybe that's it's a little revenge. I don't know.